The first time happened when I was 12. I was with my grandpa at his hog ranch in northwest Arkansas. We were out there fixing fences and doing work on the ranch. It was summer, so there was sunlight until almost 9 o'clock. As the sun was setting, my grandpa and I packed up our things and began driving out to the gate. The property is 800 acres or so, and we were on the back half, so this took some time. By the time we got near the gate, it was almost totally dark. Near the gate, there's this large cave. It's like a labyrinth on the inside with many tunnels, rooms, and even waterfalls, and it's not fully explored. I asked my grandpa if we could check out the cave on our way out, and he obliged. We got out our flashlights and headed towards the cave. So the truck was parked on the road directly next to the trail that leads straight to the cave. The road is level. The cave trail is about 200 yards long, and in daylight, you can see the cave from the road. These details are important to keep in mind for what comes next. So my grandpa and I began walking down the trail towards the cave. Along the trail, there is dense brush and tall trees on either side. Within 30 seconds or so of walking, we both hear a creature walking along with us just off the trail. The footsteps were heavy and had a cadence like a grown man's footsteps. We both shined our lights at it, but could not see anything but the swaying of brush and trees. The footsteps stopped as we shined our lights. I turned to my grandpa and asked him what he thought it was. We were out of the area where the hogs are kept, so we thought it was a deer or something, but he did not seem confident in that, and neither did I. The brush was too dense for a man to reasonably be walking through it. We hesitated for a few seconds, and then continued walking towards the cave. The footsteps continued keeping pace with us. We walked for about 10 more seconds when suddenly there was a bright flash 10 feet off the ground. At the same time, there was this explosion of sound. It was the most bizarre noise. Imagine metal scraping, a woman screaming, an elk bugling, and strange computer-like beeping all at once. The noise lasted 3 seconds or so, but I will never forget it. It was the most bizarre thing I've ever heard. As this happens, we both shine our lights up at the treetops where the flash came from, and where the noise seemed to come from. I could see nothing but the trees swaying violently, but I was also half blinded by the flash only an instant before. We both stumbled backwards and drew our knives. Not that they would have done us any good. The creature then took off in the direction of the cave. Its footsteps faded away so fast, which leads me to believe it must have been 10 feet tall or more. We looked at each other like, what in the world? We both took a couple more steps to the cave and then came to our senses and ran back up the trail towards the truck. Now remember, the trail is a straight shot back to the road. It doesn't fork off, and the brush is too thick to get through. The only direction we could have gone was right back the way we came, which we did. At this point, it's been maybe a minute since we got out of the truck. As we run up the trail, we pointed our flashlights to where the truck should be, and we could not see it. We were both panicking, and my grandpa actually yelled, "Where's the truck?" We got up on the road and looked around and couldn't see it. After shining my light for a moment, I saw it gleaming nearly a quarter-mile away, which should have been impossible unless someone had driven it there. But we could have heard the truck start if that were the case. We ran for it and hopped in. We started driving back, and we had just been driving for a minute or two when I noticed the clock said it was 11 p.m. It was 9 or so when we got out of the truck, and perhaps 5 minutes had passed, at least from my perception, till this point. I pointed it out to my grandpa, and he checked his phone. It also said it was 11 o'clock. Somehow a lot of time had passed impossibly quickly. I've tried to rationalize this for years, but I still have no idea. I'm sure my grandpa wasn't playing a trick on me or something because of how he reacted. His theory is there was a demonic creature on the ground stalking us, and the bright flash and noise was an angel scaring it off. That doesn't explain the truck moving or the time loss, though. I have no idea what happened. We have not been back to the cave. This event took place 2 summers after the incident at the cave. I was 14 at the time, and I was at my girlfriend's birthday party. This took place at night in southwest Missouri, right in the middle of a suburban neighborhood. I was lying on my back on a trampoline while everyone else was talking and just hanging out. I was the only one looking at the sky. I saw a light that looked just like a plane blinking and moving slowly across my view. Very normal. It did this for 10 seconds or so. Suddenly it glowed very bright and started moving extremely fast. It must have been going away faster than the speed of sound. It moved across the sky all crazy and random like a toddler scribbling with a crayon. It moved like this for 3 seconds or so, too fast for me to even realize what was happening and tell everyone to look. Then it began moving slowly again and blinking just like a plane. It was like a stealth mode or something. I don't believe we have an Air Force base or anything like that nearby, but I suppose it could have been some kind of secret government aircraft that malfunctioned. I don't believe in aliens, but I believe in demons and angels and think they may be mistaken for aliens. This last story is actually 2 similar accounts. The first time this happened, I was 19. I was house sitting for some of my mom's friends. The house wasn't old or anything, but it gave me a bad feeling from the start, like I wasn't alone there. My job was to take care of their dog and stay the night at the house for a week. Everything was going well until the 3rd night. I had been sleeping for a few hours when my eyes suddenly opened. My head was turned to the side and I was looking at an alarm clock. It was about 3:30. Not that that's particularly important. I could also see the dog lying on its bed asleep. I had left the light on in the master bath, so there was enough light to see pretty well in the bedroom. I could not move my body at all as hard as I tried, only my eyes. My mind felt fully awake though. This was all far too vivid to have been just a dream. On the other side of the room, I could feel a presence, but my head was turned the opposite way. It crept towards me, and I could feel my body sink down as it climbed onto the bed. I could just see it out of the corner of my eye at this point. It was a humanoid shape. Its skin was as black as tar, and it was scaly. It was 7 feet tall or so. It had huge eye holes, but voids for eyes. It had horns on its head, and long talons for fingers. It was also very thin. The only part of it that wasn't pure black was its impossibly wide smile filled with white teeth. It kept climbing onto the bed and it grabbed me by my arms and straddled me. It hovered over me like that for a moment, and then brought its face right up next to mine. I could feel its breath on me and feel its claws digging into my skin. I tried to scream, but my body just would not move. After a moment, it faded away like mist, and I could move again. My fear faded soon after, and I didn't know what to do, so I just said a prayer and somehow went back to sleep. That incident was easily the scariest to me out of all of these. I had to stay in that house for the rest of the week, but nothing else happened. A few months later, I had sleep paralysis again. This time I was sleeping with my fiancée at her apartment. She also happens to be the same girl from the UFO story. In the middle of the night, my eyes shot open, and I was looking at the tall, skinny black creature. It was much taller and skinnier than the other one. It was so tall it had to hunch over because of the ceiling. It was 5 feet from me or so. It did not move closer. It reached out its long arm towards me. Its fingers were like knives. It pointed at me and slowly moved its knife finger closer to my heart. Again, I could not move. The instant before it touched my chest, I screamed and it vanished. My fiancée about fell off the bed because of how loud I screamed. She asked me what was wrong, and I just said, "It almost got me." And then I prayed and went back to sleep. I know many people have had similar things happen to them with sleep paralysis. Maybe it's just a medical condition and the creatures are imaginary. Or maybe there is something real there. It sure felt real.